Hello, and welcome to Recapping with Delora
and Ashley.
Please follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Recapping Podcast.
Also, rate, review, and subscribe to our show on your favorite podcast platform. We're on all the things.
We want to hear your thoughts on the movies and shows we review.
Leave us a comment on Apple Podcasts or our YouTube channel, and we will read them during the show.
Or reach out to us on social media. We love talking all things entertainment and pop culture with you.
Thank you guys so much for listening.
Thank you.
Delora, we are back for another episode discussing these pop culture streets, talking about some headlines and hot topics. How you living? How you feeling?
I'm doing well. I'm doing really well. A lot of exciting things going on. You know, we transitioned into summer or we're almost there, but you know, work and school and all that. It's summer. And
yeah,
I'm excited for what we have planned. How about you?
I'm good. This is one of those times I was talking about this on a call recently where I wish I worked in like education because I would love to have a summer break.
Girl, no, you don't. These kids out here, I mean, there's a level of freedom that I respect at this rate. You know what I mean? And just there's no rigmarole. It's like straight
you
nail on the head.
You think the stress and gray hair I would have from working in education does not offset the time away? Basically.
Yes.
Shout out and much respect to all the educators, including those within my own family.
Thank you.
All right, we got to start off the episode today talking about some babies because we have two very exciting baby announcements that have happened over this past week. We have Trina McGee, Boy Meets World alum, announcing she is pregnant with her fourth child at the tender age of 54. Now, I remember when I first saw the headline, first of all, I was like, that she don't look 54.
No. I assumed that most of the cast was in their 40s.
Exactly.
Like Topanga and them, you know?
Yep.
But 54, wowzers. I would never have guessed.
Whatever you drinking, sis, I need some. She talked about in some interviews, and I have up an Entertainment Tonight article that she had been hoping to have a baby with her current husband, who she's been married to for nearly 2 decades, but they had kind of, things weren't working out. And then they decided to go a more unconventional route. They went to the Garifuna people on natural remedies in Belize, and they took medicinal herbs. And she said that partner with her healthy lifestyle, as well as reducing stress, helped her to reverse her menopause that she was actually going through. She did reiterate like, hey, I'm not a doctor. This is just kind of what worked for me. But clearly something's working. So what were your thoughts about this news?
Honestly, I was more invested in her age, like wrapping my head around the fact that, again, she's 54 years old. I went ahead and looked up, my sitcom base, Sean, and just was like, how old is he? He's 44. Like I thought, you know what I mean?
Was she supposed to be older than him on the show? I can't remember.
I didn't think so. And Topanga and Corey are 43. So,
what is because Black don't crack. And we get cast younger than we look on these shows, or younger than we are because of how we look on these shows.
Shout out to Bianca, because she's number one in my mind.
The GOAT.
I mean, playing a teenager in her 30s. I don't know. I was going to say light work, but that doesn't apply here. Like, this is monumental. Like, I get excited when people think I'm in my early 30s personally.
Oh, I love asking people how old they think I am, just so I can get a little pat on the back that when somebody cards me, I'm like, I appreciate you today. Thank you. Never stop this. Never.
Well, it's so funny because David is rocking the salt and pepper sides, and I literally got like my second gray on the side of my head like I'm older than he is. And so it's kind of like, we don't have to tell people our age difference. It's not like
Yeah,
it's
that's
significant.
genetics, because I don't even want to tell y'all how many grays I got coming in my head. So we just gonna leave it there. That's the thing I'm gonna miss about coloring my hair. I told my hairdresser, I was like, is there like a crayon or a pencil we can just color in these grays? Because I'm not a fan. I'm not anywhere near ready, even though, Miranda Priestley makes it look like it's gonna be a gorgeous sight when I do hit that time, but I'm not
I'm
ready yet.
telling you, once I get there, or we're dyeing it silver just for touch-ups. Like we're leaning in. Okay.
She was
Like
fabulous.
I love it. I love it when women who are that color just leans into it. You know what I mean? It's like the bobs, it's giving power, it's giving confidence, it's giving like this is
Chic,
me.
chic,
Yes.
baby. Well, I just want to say congratulations. I mean, there's been so much that goes into talk about fertility and women's bodies and just so many conversations. And I'm just so happy and that she's able to, bring this child into the world with her husband as she's been wanting to. Age be damned, girl. Do your thing. Congratulations.
Praying for a healthy delivery for mama and the baby.
Absolutely. Speaking of, we got one more. Ebony K. Williams announced she is preggers as well. People article I have up. They still have her listed as Real Housewives of New York alumna. I don't claim that. She was in there for what, one season?
Yeah. You
Okay.
know what's
She's a
so funny?
lawyer.
Because Bozeman St. James is headed to Beverly Hills marketing extraordinaire. And I'm like, I think this is always an interesting move. Shout out to friend of the pop, Kylia. We both took one of her seminars before. Actually, it was like during the pandemic. She had like this real nice webinar situation that was like interactive for the people who were able to get in. And this is such an interesting move when you have women, Black women of power and quote unquote substance, right? Like what we, throwing in respectability politics, of course.
Right.
Going on a show that's known for throwing glasses and flipping tables.
Yeah. And I mean, Ebony had already been like an outspoken, prominent voice in media.
Yes.
But yeah, that was a little bit of a stretch to me at the time. But she's a lawyer and she's been out here doing her thing for a long time. And she's talked about her journey, her relationship journey, her parenting journey, how she had
Mm-hmm.
frozen her eggs and was going to go the route of having a sperm donor and getting pregnant via in vitro. And, she just mentioned in her quote, anybody who's gone through IVF or attempted IVF will tell you so many things have to go right for the final result of this journey to be a baby. That's why I called
Mm-hmm.
this my remarkable miracle, because it really does feel like I've been the recipient of some very enormous favor from God above. So, I just want to again extend congratulations. I know that many people go through so many fertility struggles and that to bring a child into the world is a blessing. So, I'm super happy for her. And I hope that she has as you mentioned, for Trina, happy, healthy, continued pregnancy and delivery.
Yeah, looking at the people.com exclusive as well. I really like how she talks about how she learned to get rid of her shoulds. It's like maybe I should have waited to meet a man and remarry before I have a baby. Maybe I should not be trying to do this all alone. And she's like, but F that. I'm not waiting. I'm 40 years old. I'm not waiting to build assets. I'm not waiting to build my career. I'm not waiting to travel. And I'm certainly not waiting to start a family. So I've only known one woman who decided to become a mother independently through this process. She was my philosophy teacher in college. And she talked about how this was her decision and that she was happy about it. But, it was, she said it was difficult, obviously, but motherhood is just in general. Like, I
Yeah.
shouldn't say it's difficult. It's just, there's a
Challenging.
lot of adapting. There's a lot of new normals because like this is my first time being a mother of a 6-year-old. You know what I mean? Like, and then it'll be the first time me being a mother of a preteen, teen, on so on and so forth. And so I appreciate this this mindset, because I know just in my personal life in general, you stick yourself in a box when you're like, oh, I should be doing this or I should be doing that in any part of your life, right? And it's
Right.
like, who made those rules? Like, who, why, how? Like, let's go down the list, okay? And I'm reminded of that Steve Jobs quote, and I'm paraphrasing. It's like, once you realize the people who made the rules are no smarter than you,
Mm-hmm.
you do your own thing, sis.
Mm-hmm.
Do your own thing.
Absolutely. There's no point. If you are motivated and this is what you want to have a family, more power to you. I also, again, enjoy the trend of women being able to take their fertility in their own hands and still have children past the age that people try to say is deemed acceptable or it's going to be geriatric, all that. Even in the article about
Yeah.
Trina, they talked about, oh, are you going to talk to any of the other celebrity moms who had kids in their 50s? She was like, well, I'd love to talk to Janet. That's who I really love to talk to. But, they talked about Naomi, they talked
Yeah.
about a few of them who had
Yeah.
children later in life and whether they got help, whether they didn't, whether they conceived, however, it's a beautiful thing. And I have always felt when I've seen and heard from Eboni that she marches to the beat of her own drum. And I respect and appreciate that about her. But to your point into this article, I'm glad she is fully living and embracing what it is that she wants and needs out of this life, because there are no rules. That's that. Congratulations to both the beautiful
Congrats.
ladies. All right, let's move on to this. Speaking of beautiful Black women, Black Barbie documentary.
Mm-hmm.
The trailer has dropped. We've been hearing about this for a while from the world of Shondaland. This is coming to Netflix on Juneteenth, which is June 19th for any folks who are not aware. And it's, I think, highly anticipated by the folks that, we enjoy. But I think it is such a nice extension onto the hype that there already was from Barbie and from the success of that film and having Issa Rae play the president and just the diversity of that cast, all these things. Have you watched the trailer and what struck you or what are you looking forward to about this documentary?
Have I watched the trailer? Of course I did. And, I'm anticipating seeing it. I'd love to know the history of Black Barbie and the journey it took to get there, because I remember growing up and my mom telling me, oh, she didn't have any Black baby dolls. And I love the fact, because it's like, I'm interested to know when Black Barbie evolved to like actually having Black features. Because at one point, it looked like they just made the doll brown. Like, you know what I mean?
I'm sure they did. They just dipped it in chocolate
I called it a day.
and kept
And
it pushing
so
down the line.
I like all my faves are talking in the documentary, so I'm excited to hear their perspective. When we went to New York last year, we went to the famous toy store, and they have a huge, is it FAO Swords?
Yep.
Huge Barbie section where you can like even make your own Barbie. And I just love how accessible Barbie is to all types of people. Even people with vitiligo. Like, I just love that so much. And so, yeah, I'm down for it. And you know what's interesting? Before the documentary came out, I think Shonda, it wasn't shade, but her comments to the Barbie movie wasn't like overwhelmingly positive. And maybe she had this brewing. And
Or
so,
she just was like, oh, great, you're centering the white Barbie.
I mean, this is what she says. She says, Barbie didn't need to be a feminist manifesto.
Okay.
I'm looking at IndieWire. She's like, I thought it was totally delightful, but the weight people put on a movie about Barbie was very interesting to me. And as a writer of I will stand between the heavens, like, I trust her in her judgment. You know what I mean?
I mean, gotta respect her having, her own opinion for sure, but I don't think I
Yes.
put that weight on it. So
She
I
said,
just
I saw
enjoyed.
the Barbie movie at home. She said before saying no comment on whether or not she enjoyed the film. So
There you go. regardless, I think this will benefit from a bump in viewership because of it, right? If nothing else. So
True. That's
what
very true.
what do you think about the marketing and about the release and having it for Juneteenth? I sometimes feel conflicted about stuff like that because it's like I get why you want to drop it on Black Independence Day, but at the same time, you could have put it out any other day, and I'm still going to gravitate to it.
I don't have a problem with it just because we now have the opportunity to release things outside of February. You know what I mean? Like 365. No,
I'm smirking because I'm just like, yeah, but it's still like, well, y'all can have this one other day, you know?
I know, I
I can have this
know.
one other one.
I don't have a problem with it. You know, it's like it gives us something to look forward to. The same way Black Panther was released in February. We had something to look forward to for Black History Month. Um,
I guess I'm always thinking and wondering how much is it the Black creatives that choose that versus the machines that they are
the
using for distribution.
distributors.
Was it
Yeah.
Marvel and Disney that made the decision for Black Panther in February? Probably. Was it Netflix that made the decision for Juneteenth for this? Possibly. You know, that's what I'm saying. Because that's like
I
my
mean,
thing when I go into Target for Black History Month, and I'm like, I'm not buying no Black History Month shit from Target.
I have. Oh, I've had some really great journals and calendars.
Unless I know
Absolutely.
it's from a Black brand, which I'm sure some of them are, but it's just like I could go support a Black owned
I wouldn't be surprised
business.
if Shonda had some say. We do realize she has a gigantic,
She does. That's why I said I'd be feeling
you know,
conflicted until I can sit down and her and I can talk, which is on the horizon.
and the
I'm manifesting it.
CEO of freaking Netflix is a white man married to a Black woman. So yeah, I think there's probably some intentionality there that wasn't out of being generic in that way.
Has she surpassed Ryan Murphy as the most consistent producer of content in terms of those deals that were had a few years back? Like I feel like has she
Ooh, that'd be an
surpassed his
interesting
output?
stat. I
She
don't
might
know.
have.
She's been doing this a long time though, so I don't. And so has he. You know, he's behind Popular. He's behind. There were just certain like classics from back in the day. I was like, oh, he's a part of that.
Yeah. I mean,
So
they're
I don't
both like
know.
prolific at what they do.
Girl,
I was just
listen.
curious because you know, like he does FX with the
Yeah, American
feuds
Horror.
and well
Yep.
feud as well because I just watched the Truman Capote one. So yeah, it just made me wonder as I was looking at, you know, they talk about her different projects with Netflix. You got Bridgerton season 3, you got Bridgerton's obviously 1 and 2, you got Queen Charlotte, you had the Debbie Allen doc, Dance Dreams, Hot Chocolate Nutcracker, and then you had Inventing Anna. So I was just thinking, like, who has produced more content between the two of them?
I
But
don't
not that it's a
know.
competition, just was
No, it's
wondering out
not.
loud.
Yeah. Popular was one of his first. Do you remember that show? That was my show back in the day.
I don't know. I'd have to Google it to see. I'm sure it's something if I've never seen it, I at least know the reference.
And then of course Glee and Nip Tuck and The New
Yeah,
Normal.
Glee was
I've
my introduction for sure. Nip
yeah,
Tuck
I've
got dark.
it got real dark.
Yep. So we'll see. I mean, I'm still going to watch it and I'm looking forward to it and we'll probably recap it. So stay tuned for that.
Exactly.
All right, let's move on to our next headline. Flavor Flav is trying to save Red Lobster single-handedly. He is on a mission to, as he put it, save one of America's greatest dining dynasties, Delora. He went to Red Lobster recently and ordered every item on the menu to help the restaurant chain, which filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy last month. He said, your boy meant it when I said I was going to do anything and everything to help Red Lobster and save the Cheddar Bay biscuits. Ordered the whole menu. And then he said, this is just the beginning. He's going to go continue to do this. He said that Red Lobster slid into his DMs. He is, you know, I guess feeling that, you know, they're not going to go under, which I think is the hope, even with the restaurant filing for Chapter 11. You know, businesses have to file for bankruptcy to restructure and do what they need to do. So my first question is, how have you been feeling about everything that's been going on for Red Lobster? Because Red Lobster has been a staple in our lives for a long time. And the second question,
Long done.
is Flavor Flav the savior of this franchise?
I'm not gonna lie, knowing that Flavor Flav did that was giving like cringe just a little bit because it's
Hmm.
like it's just one restaurant doing this. Yes, by him doing that, we're talking about it now. So maybe there is some hope, but
And he's giving money at least to those folks who work at that location. So doing more
yeah,
than some of
that
us because I
particular location,
yeah, I have
you
not been to Red
know,
Lobster myself.
I don't know if he's going to do anything to move the actual needle. But yeah, Red Lobster has been a staple. I mean, growing up, my parents used to love going there for their birthdays. I wasn't always allergic to shellfish, and I would be able to eat different things on the menu. After a while, though, once I realized my allergy, it wasn't as fun to go. But I love their cheddar bay biscuits, which they have since changed from the early days. And then let's not forget the iconic if you love me real good, I'm gonna take your ass to Red
Look
Lobster.
at
I
you using
almost
the PG version.
I wonder if Beyonce bought stock before that song release. You know what I
She
mean?
might have, but to your point, that was the first thing I thought of was, is this famous line going to become just a mere anecdote and people won't remember Red Lobster in the future?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, a lot of things, as millennials, a lot of things we have come to love and know are like not here anymore. I mean, I'm thinking blockbusters, malls, like freaking Red Lobster. Like, goodness gracious.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, again, I have not been to Red Lobster consistently in a long time, particularly just because I don't eat at those type of chains as much as I probably used to.
Yeah, same.
But I still, it's a staple. It's like, no, I don't want to see Red Lobster go. There's a certain one that is a staple in my hometown that I'm thinking of that I don't want to see shutter. I just think it's nostalgia, but it's also like, is this the beginning of us seeing a lot of these, restaurant dynasties that we grew up with crumbling and shuttering and I don't know. I don't want to think this deeply. I want it to be fine. I want them to survive and hopefully they will. Do I think that Flavor Flav is going to single-handedly help? But no, but he's giving them pub. And before you know it, when they do restructure, he's going to be the spokesperson in many a commercial. So there's that.
I don't know if Flavor Flav can move the needle like a Shaq. Like Shaq is that celebrity. I put like Shaq and Snoop Dogg in like the same caliber of celebrity. Like everybody loves them, everybody wants to be their friends, everybody understands like and still remembers their input into the culture, which makes them, legendary. I don't put Flavor Flav in that same category. You know what I mean? He's a little lower, in my personal
I
opinion.
can't say he's in that category, but I still think he's fun. You know, that's what it
Okay,
is. He's fun. He leans heavy still into his gimmick and he's a fun guy. So, and Flavor of Love, I mean,
I
it
mean,
was what it
so
was.
true. It truly was. The fact that we still are calling these women nicknames because he didn't take the time to know their names,
Yes.
a la
Yes.
New York, a la Hoops. Like,
Yeah.
girl, what are we doing?
And Hoops ended up dating Shaq.
The
Full
tangle web
circle.
we weave.
Full circle. So yeah, I think it's fun. And to your point, it does get them some headlines and does make people remember and think about them. So go support your local Red Lobster if you're a fan, I guess is the moral of this story. All right, let's get into our last headline. This is for you, Mom. Mom was like, are y'all gonna talk about this Beyonce and Big Freedia lawsuit? So here we go. Beyonce and Big Freedia are being sued for alleged copyright infringement over their songs Explode and Break My Soul. There is a New Orleans based group, the Showstoppers, that are claiming that Big Freedia and subsequently Beyonce took the phrase release the wiggle from the group's 2002 song of the same name without permission or credit for both tracks. This is according to a People article. I went and found their song on YouTube, listened to it, went back and listened to Explode again, and I'm like, it is the same phrasing, but it doesn't sound the same. So I just don't know if they have the legs that like the gay family had against Pharrell and Robin
And
Thicke.
Robin.
But
Yeah,
that was a historical
it
lawsuit win.
was.
So
Yeah.
this is fair game. What do you make of this lawsuit, and do you think they have a shot?
When I heard about this allegation, I'm not gonna lie, I am Beehive adjacent, but allegations of Beyonce stealing stuff is just not new. I'm just gonna let that pause. So for me, I'm just like, oh, I wonder what's gonna happen, because usually these type of lawsuits end up simmering down. Someone's paid off or something. I really just genuinely don't know the conclusions of these allegations, but they're not unfounded. I'm thinking about, there was some conversation when she did like a boy back in the day when she did I Am Sasha Fierce. I mean, there's a long list, including stage performances. So when I actually read into it, I was like, oh, that's interesting. What's gonna happen to it? I have no idea. It might simmer down like the rest of them. I don't
Yeah.
know if checks are paid or what. Um, you know what I mean? But should be interesting. But the fact that Big Frida's, looped in, hopefully the representation is able to support everybody involved. So
I think the question is like, can you sue somebody for a sample of a potential sample if you didn't know, right? Like, should Beyonce even be a part of this lawsuit if she sampled Big Frida, who would have taken the actual copyright of the original work? I don't know. I mean, I guess you can.
I mean, considering most of her music is sampling, I think this might be interesting for, to your point, future artists as well.
Mm-hmm.
That has always been the biggest gripe when it comes to the Grammys, how there's a lot of quote unquote songwriters, and it's because she's sampling and literally it's almost like what she does to music is what patch workers do for their quilts and blankets. Like, she really does create a bit of a tapestry of sound, right?
Mm-hmm.
um and I don't know if it'll eventually be, as respected as people who only take one or two people to write a song. You know what I mean? Because I think there is a level of artistry with what she does, because obviously we enjoy it, right?
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, but Diane Warren threw so much shade.
Heated, heated.
Throw so much shade, even though she wrote I'm Here, and I love that song off of Four.
Right.
Or I Was Here, rather.
One damn overrated Tuesday on my dick. Flip flop,
Mm-hmm.
flipping, flip flopping ass.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think when it comes to Beyonce, like to your point about um accusations and things like that, I'm sure, I mean, with the level of success she has, the level of money she can pay, the level of lawyers she can hire, I guarantee you this will go by the wayside because she has, I'm sure, powerhouse attorneys on her roster who are just gonna be like, okay, if this even has any merit, here's our standard fee. Let's go ahead and pay that out. Let's move on. Because I don't think that the group that's suing has the recognition from what I saw when I did a little bit of research anyway. Like again, Marvin Gaye's family suing, that's a big deal. That's a big name. You
Very
know?
high profile.
Yeah, that was a lot
I
of
mean,
clout
even Ed
coming.
Sheeran, he got caught up and had to pay Candy and them. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
I remember Ed Sheeran's too.
Mm-hmm.
I yeah, I think this one is going to go by the wayside, but I could be wrong. And they could have to add some credits and cut an even bigger check. We'll have to wait and see. But uh best of luck in these copyright lawsuits. I think it's tough, especially with music, because I think somebody said once there's only so many keys, there's only so many keys.
Truly, I'm always mesmerized by composers. That's why I'm such a big fan of Chris Bowser. And there's a young lady, her name is Emily. I'm forgetting her last name right now, but she's a young woman who actually played keyboard during the Renaissance tour. She's a composer of like movies and TV shows. And I'm like, the fact that you all are able to create like original work,
Yeah.
I much respect. And they're super young too. And the young lady I'm talking about in particular, she's mentored by the Quincy Jones. So I hate that I forgot her last name, but
Googler.
what
All right, let's get into our two hot topics. The first one, Delora, I told you I was gonna just touch on just because it's so new and so fresh that I haven't really got a chance to dig into it. But it's just another domino falling in the music industry in terms of high profile men and moguls being accused of horrific crimes. So the latest is I have NBC News article up. Producer singer The Dream accused of rape and sexual battery in lawsuit filed by former protege. Shanae's Mangro accused the producer of luring her into an abusive and sexually violent relationship while promising to help launch her career as an artist. She basically said that this all started when she was 23. She was working in the US on an international visa from the Netherlands. An associate of The Dream reached out to her on social media, and then they flew her out to Atlanta so she could meet with him. And it basically just started this abusive, violent, and manipulative relationship, she said, filled with physical assaults, violent sexual encounters, and horrific psychological manipulation. The article I have up goes into detail about some of these encounters, such as one time he locked her in the studio, forcibly having violent sex with her. Another time he legit raped her, like in a van, and signed her to the label, just end up dropping her. She went to the label about, her concerns. They never addressed it. They just told her, hey, you need to figure out how to work with him. So they are a part of this lawsuit as well. I am about fed up with the music industry right now. I just don't know if there's any safety for these women and for these artists that have come through this industry. It just seems like it is rampant.
Ashley,
horrible things that happen to these ladies.
it's so funny that you say that. I was talking to my eyebrow lady and she had her playlist on. R. Kelly still made his way on the playlist. It was like a shift type of playlist. And I'm just like, it's so crazy. We hear all these stories. We talked about the documentary. We're talking about Diddy. And we were just talking about how crazy it is that it feels like sometimes these families be serving their young daughters up on a platter, thinking that these men are going to, I don't know what, just to be in the presence of a powerful, wealthy man, seemingly, and just, hoping that they'll do their best, whether it's their careers or, relationships with these women. And I'm like, it's like y'all taking our lambs up to slaughter. Like, what makes this man, because his name and he might got some dollars in the bank account, that is, you don't know this man's soul, you don't know what his moral compass, if he has one. And I just say all that to say, when the things popped off of Weinstein, we knew it was bad, but the music industry, I feel like, is easy 10 times worse than Hollywood, because the shenanigans of late night recordings and everybody and their brother in the studio, and the entourages and the constant travel, that just seems like a crazy hurricane of who knows what, you know what I mean? Yep. And so I feel like we're barely scratching the surface.
I remember, do you remember Issa even talking about this when she was working on Rap Shit, and she was just saying that she was so alarmed by finding out so much about the inner workings of the music industry in particular. And I thought about that when I read this, and I also thought about, the young lady who escaped R. Kelly after all was said and done, who had been like one of his main two little young girlfriends, and just the brainwashing that goes into all that. Because I remember, I think he met her in Orlando through her parents, to your point. I just want to say, too, that I think that we're living in an era where we have access to so much more information. There was a time where I don't think anybody could have guessed exactly how predatory these industries really were. I think it was like, there are gatekeepers and we just need to get you to these gatekeepers in order to get you in. There's even, allegations against, folks like, what's his name that worked with Babyface, L.A. Reid.
L.A. Reid.
And, LaFace Records in our era was huge. They were indeed gatekeepers to these monstrously successful artists, right? So I just think that there's such a allure, obviously, to fame and success and wealth, But also you have people who just had really big dreams and thought that they could trust these people to help them achieve those dreams. You know, Cassie even talked about that in her lawsuit, that she never actually wanted to be in a relationship with Diddy. She got basically pressured and lured into it. And it's worth note that this young lady who is accusing the dream of these things is being represented by the same lawyers who represented Cassie in her lawsuit against Diddy. So I think this is very serious. Talking about the music, you take out the Dreams music, like I even talked about when we just reviewed Beyonce's latest album. Those were my favorite tracks, you know. So it's like I'm fed up. Like I just don't know if there are truly good eggs that I can trust and hold on to in my music catalog anymore. Like it all feels like fair game in terms of who needs to drop off next.
You know, and I'm curious on like Beyonce and Jay-Z, like how long they're going to be able to stay silent when it is getting very close to home in terms of everybody knows about Diddy and Jay-Z's relationship and their business and partnerships. The Dream, literally, I'm looking at NPR. The title says The Dream, R&B star and Beyonce songwriter accused of rape. So what are we going to do with that? Now, obviously, we have to, you know, see how our legal system handles this because, you know, he isn't officially.
It's a lawsuit. It's not criminal charges that are being brought against him.
Mm-hmm. It is interesting to see how this is going to be resolved.
I have to be honest, in this case, even more than hearing from Beyonce or Jay-Z, I would love to hear from his exes, from Nivea and from Christina Milian. And
she has a baby by.
They both have children by him.
Oh, that's right. Duh. Why he ain't helping out Nivea? I'm thinking about her situation with freaking 50 Cent.
Yeah, I think Nivea was first. Nivea was his first wife, I want to say, and then Christina, pretty sure. But yeah, it's disturbing. Every single time it's disturbing. So we'll have to wait and see how this situation plays out. Let's move on to our final hot topic of the day. This Fenty Hair announcement. Rihanna took to Instagram with a post saying a new family is moving in. Fenty Hair is pulling up and it's time to finally have the hair experience you've been waiting for. She touts that the brand is going to be all about keeping every texture, color, length, from weaves to braids to natural hair, healthy and strengthened and repaired from any damage, because obviously she's liked to play around with her hair color, her hairstyles over the years. And she said it's time to play and get stronger by the style. My first thought when I saw this, I said, is Beyonce okay? Like, is she upset that this is coming so closely?
My first question was
to hers.
Did they plan it out to where Beyonce had to go first before Rihanna, like type of deal? Like, you know what I mean?
I doubt it, because I think for Rihanna, this is just another feather in her cap. Let's be honest. Rihanna's Fenty line and Fenty products are so successful. And I can't say that I feel like Beyonce has had that level of success with things that she has branded as much as she is still successful in her music career, right? Rihanna became a billionaire off of just her Fenty beauty stuff. So if I'm honest, that's why I said, Beyonce, are you okay? Because I feel like Fenty has a stronger foothold in the industry of beauty. And so it just makes me wonder, I mean, not to say you can't buy all the products, but as far as celebrity endorsed products, is this going to take a chunk out of her clientele? Is it going to take a chunk out of people who are interested in trying Sacred, or is there room for everybody? I mean, you still got Tracy, you still got Gabby, you still got all these other celebrity labels as well. Yeah, that are competing too.
Yeah. And you know what was so funny? Speaking of the Sacred launch, you had Taraji and Tia and Gabrielle Union at the freaking release party.
Yep.
And they got their own hairline, you know?
But when Queen Bee calls.
Well, I guess you show up, right?
Pull up.
I'm just sick of people rolling out hair care products wearing wigs. I just,
They got
Unless
wigs got to be washed too, Delora.
I hear you. And I am not knocking wig wearing in general. Like, obviously, professionals and even people who aren't professionals, wigs are necessary. They're a necessary part of life. I don't have a problem with it. It's an option. However, if you want to convince me to buy your product, I like to see it on your hair.
Have we ever seen Rihanna's natural hair?
I don't know. That unrealistic blonde pixie wig. I love Rihanna. Rihanna is gorgeous. And honestly, I loved it when she went blonde. I thought she looked really cute, especially post baby, because I know what it's like to want to switch it up. Although, your hair is definitely in a fragile state post baby. But again, she's a billionaire, and I'm sure
it's not her hair.
Sure her hair is okay.
Yeah.
But I say that to say, absolutely, you are not convincing anybody. I mean, even Beyonce had to come out and do a video talking about her hair, and even then people are still having their doubts because they were like, well, she was holding on to the top of her head and they were just showing you the back with the
Jesus
with the roots. And so I don't care that much, frankly, because guess what, I am a minimalist. After going natural, I've been natural for years now. I was a product junkie at a time and I am no longer that. I was 5 seconds close to considering maybe getting Beyonce's deep conditioner, because the one thing that I do still splurge on or still experiment with are deep conditioners. But my regular shampoo and my regular conditioner, I know where home is. Like, you know what I mean?
It's still design essentials for me. Okay.
I know who I like. I still use BB Super Grow because my scalp likes it. I know when I went natural, it was like all about natural oils and things like that. And I'm like, I hear you, but the way my scalp is set up, nothing really soothes it. Like, I've done the olive oil, I've done the coconut oil, I've done the argan oil. We can have a whole conversation about hair, period. Okay. And I'm not her demographic. That's pretty much what I'm trying to say, Ashley.
I'm not any of these celebrity hair care lines demographics. I think we even talked about this when Sacred was launched. I'm not running to go buy a hair care product just because my favorite celebrity came out with it. There are probably some other celebrity brands. I know I said last time, I don't think I really get into any of them. There are probably some other ones. Like, I've bought Fenty, Savage by Fenty, like athleisure, like workout stuff. I have done that because she'd be coming out with some cute stuff. But hair is a funny thing. And so I'm going to trust the staples and what my hairdresser suggests and all of that. But I am curious for the girlies who do try some things, experiment. I'll check out some reviews. I'm curious to see what people think about this and if this is going to have the popularity that we've seen with like her makeup line and stuff. Because, y'all ain't never getting that next album if this is successful. She's booked, busy. She got 2 kids. She got a man now. Y'all ain't getting that album.
My theory is she worked as hard as she did because she knew she needed to get out of that contract.
Indeed. I mean, that's a hard business, and it's not kind to women or anyone really as you get older. So she definitely pivoted very, very well. So her hair care line, guys, dropping June 13th. So stay tuned for that. All right, Delora, that's it for headlines and hot topics today. What are we recapping for the people next week?
We are recapping the cult classic, The Fifth Element, starring the Bruce Willis
in his action bag.
truly Mila Jovovich and freaking Chris Tucker, Gary Oldman. Like, it is out there, yes, but that movie stuck with me even after all these years. You know what I mean?
I've rewatched this movie so many times, but what I love when we do a film for the recap is that it's like you hone in on everything in a different way that view. Because it's like you're kind of a casual viewer, or you've seen it so many times. Oh, I remember all this. So you're not paying that much attention. This is my first sit and I'm stuck and I'm really watching. And when I say this performance by Chris Tucker is one of the top 3 in his entire career.
Period. Like,
Corbin, my man. Corbin. It's green, baby. It's green. The outfits,
Bada boom.
the fact that these outfits were all designer.
Girl, by these Jean Paul Gaultier.
It's amazing.
Like, I mean, I was my mouth was on the floor when I found that little snippet out. I was like, yo, y'all had legit designer.
Yeah.
And he did all of it. He
down to the bandage, guys. If y'all thought that bandage was not strategic, that was
it was fashion.
Designer, baby. And let's not forget, if y'all forget, Mila was a supermodel at one point in time. Okay. Period. She was out here strutting her stuff.
This is her first film.
And there's some mess that I have to get into when we talk about this recap about that too. So stay tuned for that, guys. If y'all don't know.
This is sneak peek of what we do in our recaps. You know what I mean?
Exactly. All right, Delora, cannot wait for this conversation. Guys, we will be back. Please share this episode with everybody you know. We so appreciate it. Yes. We'll be back, as we said, with the fifth element. In the meantime, as always, be blessed.
Bye.